Hey, everybody, it's Greg again. It's another edition of Unbreakable, the podcast. Friday, TGIF, March 21st. Officially the first full day of spring. Listen. Do, 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 do. And I sing, it's all right. This has to be my favorite Beatles song of all time. As I think it is a lot of Beatles fans. Here comes the sun. Perfect song for springtime, isn't it? It's like, it's such a positive song. And George Harrison wrote this song. He was walking in Eric Clapton's gardens one sunny spring day, and back in 1969, the Beatles were like on the verge of breaking up. There was so much turmoil going on in the recording studio, and just a lot of stuff. And he wanted to get away from all. So he's good friends with Eric Clapton at the time, just taking a walk on a fresh, clean spring day. The flowers are out. Everything was getting green again after a long winter. And this song came in. Here comes the sun. And it has lasted all this time, generations, right? What a great song. Uh, and spring is here. And the great Robin Williams, who we're going to talk about in a minute, had this quote: Spring is nature's way of saying, let's party, which is true. Everything is happening now, right? You got baseball on the horizon, you've got concerts and all kinds of outdoor activities beckoning. Summertime is just over the hill. I mean, it's just a beautiful time of year. The flowers and the trees, and it's a great time. Uh, Here in Pennsylvania, we had a little taste of spring this last week. It got really warm into the 70s. Now it's backing off. And actually, we're going to have a few more days. In the next week, we're not hitting 70 again, but we'll get plenty in as time goes on. So, what I've decided to do is make this program into a weekly program because it'll give me a time to think up more things to talk about. We can just go over the week, and there's always going to be stuff to talk about. But weekly program, I think, is good. We're going to have our person of the week, which we'll talk about our TV show or movie of the week every week. And I think we're probably going to do this on Fridays. We're very flexible, so it could be any day of the week. And of course, if somebody says or does something really stupid, what will probably happen, especially in politics, uh, going to come on and do a show anyway. So what the heck, right? What the heck? Um, Anyway, I wanted to tell you, some things that came up. Uh, they had a list of the happiest countries in the world. They do this list every single year. And for 8 years in a row, Finland, Finland is the happiest country in the world. Why, I don't know. But they take it into account, the conditions of the country, blah, 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 the social, economic conditions, blah, blah, blah. And they take everything into account. And Finland, what is there to be happy about? I don't know. I've never been there before. The only thing I know about Finland is hockey and fish. That's about it. Hockey and fish. They're big on fish there. But I don't know what else they do. I don't know. Helsinki is like their big city, but I know there, Coco. I know there. The USA finished 24th. 24th. That's a surprise. I mean, we're happy, aren't we? The country's called the pot, but we're happy. Not really. I guess they're right. 24. You believe all these other countries ahead of us? Come on, we need to get a little happier. See, happy, happy, happy. And that comes to my the person of the week. And I've just been thinking about this guy. I'm thinking about this guy lately. I don't know what. Maybe it's because We need a burst of energy and happiness in this country. We need to be happy. And Robin Williams was a great source of happiness. I mean, he made you smile. If you ever saw Robin Williams, like I've been going back and watching his appearances on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, two icons together. And of course, he was on Letterman, David Letterman, over 50 times. So there's a lot of Robin Williams out there. But his movies, of course, we know his movies. My favorite was Good Morning Vietnam. But you Patch Adams, Dead Poet Society. I mean, you had so many great movies that he did. Mrs. Doubtfire. How can you not? How can you not love that, right? But the guy was just, he was this manic, frantic guy, especially when he was doing stand up. When he was on a lot of these talk shows, Johnny Carson just got out of the way. He just got out of the way and he let Robin Williams go. And he just went. He was so fast and quick. I mean, Carson would start talking about something, and Robin Williams would go into this monologue, and just so quick and so fast. I mean, he was just brilliant. The thing about Robin was, of course, he was on Mork and Mindy in the 70s. That's where he started. Actually, started on Happy Days, and then it became, Mork and Mindy was on a couple years there, but then Robin Williams after that just became a superstar. He was just so brilliant in his comedy. What he could do, Robin Williams, was so many great dialects. And, he went to Juilliard School for music and the arts. And he actually went to school with Christopher Reeve. And they were classmates at Juilliard. And they remained friends forever. And when Christopher Reeve sadly had his accident, paralyzed, Robin Williams was there. He didn't turn away. He was there. He went into the hospital room the first time he visited Christopher Reeve after his accident. And he went in and he pretended he was a Russian doctor going in, and he just made Christopher Reeves laugh. And what happened was Robin Williams actually paid for all of his medical bills. And you got to figure tons of medical bills because Christopher Reeve was in the hospital a long time. He was in rehab, all that equipment, wheelchairs, stuff, all paid for by Robin Williams. Can you believe that? So he was a very generous, very kind soul. And it's just sad because 2014 he took his life, but they thought he had Parkinson's disease, first of all, because he was starting to exhibit all the symptoms and signs of Parkinson's. What happened though was they didn't know it until after he died. They did the autopsy, and he actually had Lewy body dementia, which it's awful. Any kind of dementia, Alzheimer's, is terrible, but Lewy body is especially terrible because not only does it affect your memory and your recall, but your body too. It gives out signs like it's Parkinson's, but it's really Lewy body dementia. And so he was losing it both physically and mentally. And the thing about Robin Williams is he was so smart and so bright that he knew he was losing his mind, and he knew it, and there wasn't anything he could do about it. He suffered through a lot of depression all of his life and severe anxiety. Just, he had a lot going on in the inside. You see him on all these comedy shows, HBO specials, and he was hilarious. He was so outgoing, uninhibited. He just let go, but on the inside, he was holding it all. And comedy was his therapy. That was his therapy. He was able to, on stage, he was able to let go of all that stress, all that anxiety, all that depression. So he's just a great guy. I wish I would have met him. I can only imagine what he would have did with me, even with the wheelchair and everything. He would have cracked me up. But we remember him because we can, thank God for things like Zoom, things like YouTube, that we could go back and appreciate these people and say, wow, what a treasure he was. He had so many accolades and awards. It is really, think about it. He wasn't with us very long as far as being a public figure. He started like in 77 with Morgan Mindy until 2014. So you're talking about what do you do? I'm always bad, man. 37 years maybe we had him. That seems like a long time. Not really. So to me, Robin Williams was one of these. It was like a bright, spectacular comet that streaks across the night sky. It's here, it's glowing while it's here, and then it fades away. Right? So he's our person of the week, Robin Williams. I gotta put my glasses on first because I said every week we're gonna do either classic TV show or classic. Hello, Coco. I think he likes that. And so we're gonna do it. And this TV show I've done before, but I'm gonna do it again because I saved the notes. And one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And it was just great. And it was actually one of the first TV shows in the 50s. This show started like in 52 or so. Only ran like a season, but it was so great. The Honeymooners. Da, 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 da. Only lasted for one season. It starred Jackie Gleason, one of my favorite guys of all time. One season, 39 episodes. It ran from October 1st, 1955, to September 22nd, 1956, which was actually 2 months before I was born. 39 episodes. The opening theme was written by Gleason, called You're My Greatest Love. And Jackie Gleason's show, which was part where the Honeymooners started in the actual Jackie Gleason show, was number 2 back in then. Was opposite the Perry Como show, but was beating Como for a while, and it was the overall number 2 show in television. Number 1 was the great I Love Lucy. So the Honeymooners were very popular even back then, but it really caught on later on in syndication and news. Another generation got to experience and enjoy the Honeymooners. Really in the 80s, that's when it started having a second wind, People were starting to pick it up again. The Honeymooners, the episodes would be like late at night. You'd have the Honeymooners. And you'd watch all 39, in a month or so, a little over a month. You saw the whole thing. And that was all over again. And then they had Honeymooner reunions, anniversaries and stuff, which we're not going to get into. But it's just a show that it's lived forever. It's if you haven't seen it, it's about this husband and wife living in Brooklyn in this rundown apartment building. And Ralph Cramden is the bus driver. I guess Gleason said he patterned Ralph Cramden after guys he knew back in Brooklyn when he was growing up. Sort of a loser kind of guy. Well, always wanted to get rich quick schemes, always dreamt of winning the big one and spending his money in luxury, and it never happened. Never happened. All these get rich quick schemes turned out to be duds, And he had his wife Alice, who was very understanding and patient with him, but she could tell him like it is, If anybody could tell Ralph Cramden, it was Alice Cramden. And then he had the buddy there, Ed Norton, who we called Norton, one of the greatest sidekicks ever in television history. And Norton's wife, Trixie. In fact, the actress who played Trixie just died last year. She was 99. Jane Keane, and she was the longest, the last surviving member of the Honeymooners. So some Honeymooners facts real quick. Of course, we know Ralph Kramden worked for the Gotham Bus Company and loved the ball, loved to play pool, member of the Raccoons Lodge, Red Poobah. And actually, the bus depot up in Brooklyn, if you go up there right now, there's a statue of Ralph Kramden outside of the terminal at the Port Authority. 8-foot bronze statue of Ralph Kramden up there. And we know Ralph Kramden, the Honeymooners, the whole show, inspired the Flintstones. If you look at it really closely, Fred Flintstone is Ralph Kramden. Barney Rubble is Ed Norton. In fact, Gleason himself thought about suing Hanna-Barbera because the similarities were so much alike. But Gleason was talked out of it because they said, Jackie, do you really want to piss off a lot of kids out there, who love the Flintstones? That's not a very good thing to do. So he backed off of it. The character of Ralph Kramden was voted the 13th greatest character in TV history by TV God. There you go. Alice Kramden, we know, married Ralph Kramden for 14 years. I had a sister named Agnes, where I had an episode on the show. And before the Kramdens got their own apartment in Brooklyn, they lived with Alice's mom for 6 long years. And of course, Ralph had plenty of battles with his mother-in-law. Some of the best episodes were Ralph against the mother-in-law. And Alice's maiden name, this could be a good bar bet for you, was Gibson. Ed Norton, I love him. I wish I had a buddy like Ed Norton. Loved to play ping pong, sewer, worked in the sewer. But as Ed Norton called it, he was not a sewer worker. He was a sub-supervisor in the subdivision of the Department of Subterranean Sanitation. And as Ed Norton says, I just keep things moving along. There you go. Ed was actually in the Navy in World War II. Paid $62 a week. These are some facts you picked up along the way. Honeymooners. Apartment, nicer apartment than Ralph's. Ralph's and Alice. Why? Because as it turned out, the Nortons were able to get credit. And so they bought nicer furniture, had their apartment fixed up nicer. Ralph and Alice being in debt all the time, and Ralph blowing a lot of money on crazy schemes, could not get credit. That is why their apartment wasn't as nice as Norton's. Not only did Ed Norton inspire Barney Rubble, he inspired Yogi Bear. Think about it. Look at Yogi Bear. He's got the tie. He's got the vest on, the hat. That's Ed Norton. So Ed Norton, the character, inspired Yogi Bear, Yogi, boo boo. The character of Ed Norton was voted by TV God as the number 2 greatest character in all of television history, and the number 8 greatest sidekick of all history, of all TV history. There you go. Trixie, we said Trixie. Joyce Randolph, sorry. Jane Keane was the other Trixie. Joyce Randolph was the lady who just died last year at 99. And she played Trixie for most of the run. She inspired the character of Betty Rubble in the Flintstones. Some other characters you probably know of. Mrs. Manicotti was the Italian lady in the apartment. That bird Bill was a friend of Ralph's and Ed's. The apartment actually, there was an address. It was 328 Chauncey Street in Brooklyn. That was the apartment. Their landlord was Mr. Johnson. They had kids in the apartment building. Tommy, who played stickball, got the measles one time. Tommy Garrity. Carlos Sanchez was a mambo dancer. Mrs. Bennett was a neighbor. In the episode where Ralph was the janitor that tried to fix the radiator. And there were a lot of catch lines in the Honeymooners that Gleason had. Baby, you're the greatest. Hell to the moon. Zia, boom, bang, zoom. How sweet it is. And away we go. Actually, on Gleason's tombstone, go down to Florida, where Gleason is buried. His tombstone says, his gravestone says, and away we go. There was no story arc to the Honeymooners. In other words, if you notice this, every episode was a separate thing. Like they didn't go back. Like in episode 8, doesn't talk about what happened in episode 2. The whole thing is separate. No phone, other than the time Ralph thought he found a suitcase full of money, and they had a phone installed. No TV, no dog. Really, you think about it, the Cramdens lived a pretty sparse life. You look out the window, there was the Chinese restaurant out there over the fire escape. Wasn't originally called the Honeymooners, by the way. There were some alternate titles that they played around with, Gleason and the writers, such as The Beast. What the hell, The Beast? The Lovers. Or they also played around with the title The Couple Next Door. Couple Next Door. Originally, the Honeymooners was much darker, not as funny. It originally, when the idea came up, it was a much darker story. And Gleason, of course, Gleason supervised the whole production. Said, no. I want this to be a lighthearted thing, mostly about Ralph, and Ralph, what a loser. So that's the way they did it. When Gleason hired Audrey Meadows to play Alice, he thought she was too attractive. She sent in her picture, and he looked at her, and he remembered her, and he said, she's too good looking for Alice. I'll picture some housewife with curlers in her, and nah. So what Audrey Meadows did is she really wanted this job. She invited Gleason over to her house, and she answered the door with no makeup, hair rollers in her hair, wearing a bathroom. And no, I got that wrong. She didn't invite Gleason over. She took pictures. Sent the pictures in. Gleason saw the pictures and said, "Who is this? This is my Alice. She's perfect. Who is this?" They told him, "But Jackie, this is the girl that you rejected just the other day." And Gleason said, "I don't care. This is who I want as Alice. Hire her." And they did. That's how she got the job. She was so into this role. She used to get people, she was so realistic as Alice, as a typical housewife from the 50s, that she often got in the mail aprons, curtains for to put in the apartment. And people thought this show was real. she actually got aprons in the mail, and she would wear some of them. Gleason had a 3-year contract with CBS. CBS did that show, Jackie Gleason show. And Gleason put in his contract that he was to make $65,000 a week. Now, back in the day, you said that's $65,000 a week. That's still a lot of money. But back in the day, back in the 1950s, that was a lot of money. A lot of money. Whereas Art Carney only made $3,500 a week, only. Audrey Meadows only made $2,000 a week. And Joyce Randolph only made $500 a week. So Gleason was pretty savvy, so to speak, as far as his contract. I mean, for the 50s and 60s, when Gleason did the Jackie Gleason show for CBS for many years, they originally filmed it in New York, took it down to Miami a few years later, because that's where Gleason wanted to show. So everybody needed to go down to Miami, Florida, to do the show for a little bit. Gleason made sure he got big contracts. He made millions of dollars in movies. And don't forget, Gleason was a great songwriter too. All that music, Gleason wrote. He put out tons and tons of records. Jackie Gleason Orchestra, classic Jackie Gleason. He couldn't sing, he couldn't really play an instrument, but for some reason, Gleason was really, really good as far as tunes. He could hum a tune. He had a photographic memory, Gleason. In fact, he hated to rehearse. Hated to rehearse. That was one of the big things with the Honeymooners. Carney, Randolph, they used to complain because they wanted to rehearse. And Gleason did not like to rehearse. He thought it took something away from the actual performance. So many times, Gleason would go in cold. He had photographic memories, and all he had to do was read the script maybe once, had his lines down cold, just in case. They had certain signals to each other in case somebody forgot a line. Like if Gleason forgot a line, he would tap on his belly with his fingers. That was a signal to Alice or Ed Thornton that, hey, I forgot my line, cover for me here. And that's what they would do. Alice the same way. If she forgot a line, she would look at the stove or the icebox. That was her cue to Gleason that, hey, I forgot my next line, cover for me. So, there you go. Final couple things about the Honeymooners. Oh, God. So, very, very talk about Swift. Audrey Meadows was a great. She looked way ahead of time. When her contract came up, her nephew happened to be a banker. Get this. And they put in the contract. No one else did. Lisa did it. Art Carney did it. She put in the contract that she was to have a cut of the residuals. You know, syndication, cable TV, this was way in the future. But somehow Audrey Meadows had this in her mind. She had her nephew put it in the contract that she was to get any cuts out of any residuals down the road. Well, wouldn't you know it? Of course, the Honeymooners became famous in syndication and cable TV. Famous. That's where the Honeymooners really achieved the most of their fame. So all those shows that you saw through the 80s and 90s, every time it was played, Audrey Meadows got cut in. No other cast member did. She was very on the ball. And ahead of her time, she knew what was coming. So, a couple final things about the Honeymooners. We got really good reviews back in the day, back in the 50s. Rollicking, slapsticky comedy. It probably would have did even better if it wasn't up against the very popular Perry Como. And of course, back in those days, you couldn't tape it. There was no DVRs or anything. So it was either watch one or watch the others, right? What happened was, much to Gleason's chagrin, CBS wanted to expand the show to an hour. And they did for a short time, but the shows weren't as funny. They weren't as good. The writers were so used to writing for the show for half an hour time that they just couldn't do it. And really, the reason why Gleason stopped production, it was Gleason who pulled the plug. I think they weren't getting good ratings or anything. Gleason thought after 39 episodes, the show started to lose a little bit. The writing wasn't as fresh, wasn't as original. He started running out of ideas. And Gleason said, what we did up until that point was great. It was phenomenal. And I didn't want to tarnish the show. So I felt it best that I didn't want to put out an inferior product. So we're just going to go with the 39 shows. And that's what he did. As we said, they moved to Miami in 1966. And Norton continued with the show. But that's when Audrey Meadows left the show. Why? Because she didn't want to move to Miami with her husband. So she left the show in 66. But the other cast members, they moved to Miami with Gleason and still continued to do the show. Overall, Art Carney won 5 Emmys during the run. Meadows won 1 Emmy. Gleason, believe it or not, now get this, my friends. Jackie Gleason, as Ralph Cramden, did not win an Emmy during the time of playing Ralph Cramden. That is crap. Now, whoever was voting for that stuff back then, ridiculous. Ralph Cramden was one of the greatest characters of all time. And I could see Carney winning 5 Emmys, but Gleason not winning 1. It was just travesty. There were certain episodes that made the 100 greatest episodes of TV Guide. Like number 26 was the time that Ralph and Ed got a TV. Number 56 was the golfer episode where Norton says to the golf ball, "Hello, ball." Number 7, Better Living Through TV, where the gadget flies off. They're trying, Ralph and they have this commercial. They're trying to sell this gadget, and it doesn't work out. And the number 6 all-time episode, the $99,000 episode. Remember that? Where Ralph is on this game show trying to win. It's a knockoff of the $160,000 question. Really about this. Ralph gets on this quiz show. Wants to win the $99,000. His category is popular music. For that week, between the first show and when he comes back, he rents a piano, he gets Norton to play it, buys all this sheet music, studies up on every popular song ever written. And the way Ed Norton warms up on the piano is and then he goes into the song. Well, that's way down upon the Swanee River. And Cramden goes through all these songs all week long. And Mrs. Montecalli comes down from upstairs singing Italian songs. And Gleason knows the song right away, and the year, and who wrote it, blah, blah, blah. And he feels like he's all ready to go to win the $99,000 question. In fact, he says to Alice during the week, "Alice, I'm not stopping at $1,000. And she said, "But Ralph, we'd be happy to have $1,000. We could use $1,000. He said, "Nope, I'm going right on to the $99,000 question, and nothing is going to stop me." In fact, he says to the MC before the show starts, I just want you to know and everybody up there, I'm forging along to the $99,000 range. And the MC said, well, Mr. Cramney, you don't need to make that decision right away. Well, I'm just letting you know. First question, the easiest. Name that too. The song that Ed Norton warmed up to. The only song that's pretty does not know. After one question, after all these dreams and all these plans, Ralph is off the show. And what a brilliant episode, huh? Can you imagine writing that in like 25-minute show or something? It was so brilliant. Oh my God. Some of the other classic shows. Remember the Christmas show where they, at the end, the cast steps out of character and wishes the audience Merry Christmas? That was classic. The top, Ralph, hello, dressed up as the man in space. I love that one. And in fact, that episode is in the movie Back to the Future, if you remember. The very last episode was when Ralph brags to a friend who's coming in from out of town that he is the supervisor at the bus company, not just a bus driver. And he offers to pay this expensive bill for dinner that he and Alice and he and his friend and his wife go out to, and we can't afford to pay him. Anyway, so final thing, TV Guide 2002. Named the Honeymooners out of the 50 greatest TV shows of all time. The Honeymooners were ranked number 3 of all time. And the Writers Guild of America in 2013, they ranked the Honeymooners as number 3, the 3rd best written show ever in the history of TV. So the final thing about the Honeymooners, I would still watch it. I have the box set of all the episodes, the outtakes of everything. But if I saw the Honeymooners just skipping around the channel, I would stop. Even though I know every single word of every single episode, I would still stop and watch because it's damn funny. They don't make shows like that. It is a great good show. Okay, well, by the time I see everybody again, probably next week, that's Thursday and Friday, the Phillies will have already played their first game of the year. In fact, they're wrapping up spring training this weekend. Phil start the season down in Washington. They play 3 games down there. And let's hope the boys get off to a good start, huh? I'd love it to be like it was last year. Phil's had a fast start last year, got out of the box, first place. They almost went wire to wire in the division, which was great. You had the Mets and the Braves chasing the Phillies all year long. And that's the way to do it. All the pressure was on the Mets and the Braves to catch the Phillies, and they never did. And I don't think they will this year either. I think the Phillies, my prediction, Phillies win the division again, even though a lot of people are picking the Braves. Braves, no. They still, Ronald Acuña Jr., is he going to be okay? Spencer Strider, is he going to be okay? They lost Max Fried in free agency. I don't think the Braves are as good. I just don't. We've still got a good team, don't get me wrong. But Phillies, when it comes down to it, the Phillies still have the best pitching. Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Luzardo. Now Ranger Suarez has back problems again. Let's hope he's okay. Christopher Sanchez, great pitching, will always beat Waiting. So I say Phillies win the division, get to the World Series again. I know the Dodgers are this juggernaut with Ohtani and all those guys. But somehow, some way, Phillies are going to do it because they are destined to win a world championship with this group. Bryce Harper is not getting any younger. They all need to step up and win the World Series. Damn it. Do it. Do it. Do it. And it all starts next Thursday for the Phillies in Washington. So I'll see you next week and we'll talk about the home opener. We'll talk about a lot of things on the agenda. We'll have another person in a week and we'll have another classic TV show or a movie in a week. Whatever happens. So everybody, peace and love. Have a great week. Unless something comes up and I see you sooner. Take care. Bye for now.